Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, high school students get the opportunity to explore different medical professions to help them decide which career they might want to pursue. Plus, if Ukraine stops fighting, Ukraine ends. That was the U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken. What he had to say about the war in Ukraine today. We'll have more on the Secretary's speech coming up.
And we stay dry as we close out the work week, but we are tracking some changes this weekend. I have your full forecast coming up as Mountain News at 5:30 starts right now.
Dedicated to Southern and Eastern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. Hazard Community and Technical College gave area high schoolers a chance to explore different career paths once they graduate. WYMT's Dakota Makris stopped by the University Center of the Mountains Healthcare Career Conference.
Students had the opportunity to explore 7 different career pathways in healthcare.
They got to choose their top 3 to attend, and they're just rotating through.
More than 60 high school students from Perry Central, Hazard, Buckhorn, and Cordia attended. Students had the option to pick from nursing, physician assistant, medical laboratory science, pharmacy, physical therapy, dentistry, and medical school.
I think pharmacy has been a big popular one. They actually got to make a pill, they said. So
this conference helps students narrow down which career they are most interested in and find out which ones they may not like as much as others.
Learning what you need and giving you a track to stay on so that you take the classes you need and you don't waste your financial aid.
I talked with Pam Cornett with UK North Fork Valley Community Health Center in Hazard. She is a practice manager and dental hygienist. She talked with students who were interested in dentistry.
I think that the biggest thing that you need to do is to instill the fact that anything is doable.
She says there is a need for dentists, especially in our region. She says she wants to see students who go away for college come back home to work.
Our people have faith in our people. They trust our people, so they're more comfortable with our people.
Helping students with their future careers. In Hazard, Dakota Makris, WYMT Mountain News.
If a high school student missed today's conference, those with HCTC say they can call the college for more information. Hazard Community and Technical College also wrapped up its Spirit Week bashes. Each campus had its own Spirit Day bash. The Technical campus had its on Tuesday, the Lee's College campus was yesterday, and the Hazard campus celebrated today. Those with HCTC say students could play games and learn more about what the college offers.
We did cancel this in the beginning for the flood, but it wasn't canceled for the semester. We wanted to see the students, get to meet them. I mean, like I said, this has been a while. This has been a long time coming, and we're happy to be back.
A college representative says they had at least 400 people attend the Spirit Week bash. Students were getting off the Franklin County school bus Monday afternoon when 14-year-old Travis Mason was nearly hit by an SUV. Take a look. In fact, Travis's parents say the driver ran off the road and also destroyed their mailbox while going around the stop bus. A police citation reveals Mark Kendall of Lexington told the deputy he simply took his eyes off the road when his Infiniti sped through the bus stop. Kendall is charged with improper passing and passing a loading or unloading school or church bus. Travis's parents don't think that is severe enough because they say their son was nearly killed.
When someone makes the decision that their busyness or whatever the reason is for them to go around a bus, it has incredible consequences, and it almost did for us.
The sheriff says more charges are possible and that it's still under investigation. School officials say they want more charges too.
We are looking at absolutely gorgeous weather across the mountains as we go into this evening. Here is a live look right now over at Buffalo Mountain. Current temperature at 70, looking at plenty of sunshine back in the distance. And over at I-75 in London, same story, looking at lots of blue sky, a little bit warmer. Current temperature is at 72. We are in the 60s for Clintwood, Wise, and Pikeville, upper 60s, lower 70s for Somerset, London, and Manchester, sitting at 71. 71 for Jackson, 70 for Irvin and Moorhead. We had a few showers earlier today, but now we are looking at clear conditions across the region, and that will continue into tonight. If you have any plans to go out to our Appalachian Wireless Game of the Week, possibly the World Chicken Festival over in London, we are looking at some good conditions, but we are looking at some chilly conditions, especially late tonight. Lows falling into the 40s as we wake up on Friday morning. So be sure to pack the sweater, pack the jacket if you have any plans later on tonight. I have your full forecast and what you can expect for your weekend coming up in just a little bit. Steve.
All right, Cameron, thank you. Russian President Vladimir Putin is facing backlash at the United Nations over his war in Ukraine. He's also facing backlash at home after ordering a partial mobilization of thousands of reservists to fight in Ukraine. At the UN today, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said Putin is adding, quote, fuel to the fire he started. CBS's Deborah Alfarone has more from Washington.
Because if Russia stops fighting, the war ends. If Ukraine stops fighting, Ukraine ends.
Before the United Nations Security Council, the U.S. Secretary of State slammed Russia's war on Ukraine and Russian President Vladimir Putin's order to mobilize thousands of reserve fighters.
That President Putin picked this week, as most of the world gathers at the United Nations, to add fuel to the fire that he started, shows his utter contempt for the UN Charter, for the General Assembly, and for this council.
In Russia, protests broke out against Putin's order. Cars with those hoping to flee have surged at the border with Finland, and prices for flights, many sold out, have skyrocketed.
I feel that not really lots of Russian people want to fight.
Putin's announcement to call up more troops follows heavy military losses in Ukraine. He also said he'll use all available means to protect Russia, adding, quote, those who try to blackmail us with nuclear weapons should know that the wind can turn their way.
After Mr. Putin's address, Russian separatists abruptly released several prisoners of war, including 2 U.S. military veterans from Alabama.
I'm hoping within the next week or two that they could be back on Alabama soil.
Their release comes as Ukraine's president said hundreds of detained Ukrainians were also freed in a prisoner swap. Deborah Alfarone, CBS News, Washington.
In a taped address to the UN Wednesday, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky called for a special tribunal to investigate and punish Russia. He also said it's time for Russia to be recognized as a state sponsor of terrorism, something President Biden has previously said he's against. Well, U.S. Secretary of State Blinken made the case at the UN Security Council that Russia should face further censure and isolation for its invasion. Blinken confronted Russia at the council meeting with a litany of allegations of war crimes and other atrocities and called on countries that have yet to speak out forcefully against them to do so.
The very international order that we have gathered here to uphold is being shredded before our eyes. We cannot, we will not allow President Putin to get away with it.
Blinken laid out what the Biden administration believes is a compelling case that the war has not only caused massive destruction to Ukraine and the Ukrainian people, but exacerbated multiple other global crises, including potential famines and energy shortages, as well as distracted from efforts to improve international health, combat climate change, and reduce poverty. Japan intervened in the foreign exchange market for the first time in 24 years today to prevent the yen from weakening further against the dollar. Japan's Vice Finance Minister for International Affairs told reporters, quote, the government is concerned about these excessive fluctuations and has just taken decisive action, end quote. Today's decision marks the first time since 1998 that the Japanese government intervened in the foreign exchange market by buying yen. Lebanon's banks are to remain closed indefinitely due to ongoing risks to employees and customers. The Association of Lebanese Banks announced that yesterday. It comes after depositors held up at least 5 separate banks around Lebanon last Friday in an attempt to retrieve savings frozen in the banking system. Most depositors in Lebanon have been locked out of their accounts since the country was gripped by an economic crisis 3 years ago, with much of the population unable to pay for basic items. Friday's holdups came 2 days after similar episodes unfolded at 2 different Beirut banks. In one, a woman took $20,000 from her account after storming a bank holding what she later claimed was a toy gun. Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, seeing a jump in your rent and considering shopping around for a better deal? Why staying put might be your best money move this year.
And fall-like temperatures continue as we finish up the work week. I have all those details coming up.